The longest relationship you will have in your life is the one with yourself. You want to feel simply self-wonderful. Perhaps not all the time, but at least most of the time. And to know ways to get back to being simply self-wonderful so you can live the life you want and create for yourself. The Simply Self-Wonderful card deck and the Simply Self-Wonderful inner workout book came out of that yearning in Judy, wanting to feel loved, accepted, and worthy of love. And try as she might, something always blocked her, herself. That's why the self word is repeated in every attribute card. And that's why there's a hyphen between the attribute and the self. They are connected and inseparable if you want to truly love yourself and flourish in life. Self-love isn't always easy. There's no self-love destination. It's an ongoing journey you take with yourself. And self-love doesn't demand perfection either. Just trying to take one step at a time is more than enough. You've got this. Valeria interviews Judy Slater. She's a transformational leader, spiritual guide, and creative visionary, committed to integrating spirituality, healing, and the arts. An ordained pastor in the Presbyterian Church, USA, with over 40 years of experience, Judy blends her experience in coactive leadership, adaptive change, and energy healing to help individuals and organizations navigate an evolving world. She holds certifications in intuition medicine, trauma wellness techniques, and spirituality, health, and medicine, equipping her to guide clients through growth, resilience, and self-discovery. Judy is passionate about reimagining leadership, helping individuals embrace innovation while staying grounded in purpose. Whether coaching individuals or leading group training, she empowers leaders to cultivate clarity, courage, and transformation. A lifelong learner and adventurer, she finds inspiration in art, travel, and nature. Through her work, Judy invites others to embrace their own leadership journey, ignite their purpose and impact, and flourish in life. Meet Judy at innerludecoach.com. Here's the interview with Judy Slater.
Aloha, everyone. This is another Quest for Wellbeing podcast, and my guest today is Judy Slater. She is a transformational leader, spiritual guide, and creative visionary committed to integrating spirituality, healing, and the arts. So this is my brief introduction to you, Judy. We kind of planned to meet long ago, and we had some technical issues with the internet and all that. But us putting all that aside, it has been really a joy to kind of be in contact with this topic again. For some reason, I think it has been about probably 6 months since I talked about self-love on the podcast. So this is a very good reminder, a good episode to remind all of us the importance of it. And not just self-love, but a lot more. There's a lot more to what you do, your work, and your message. The question before we dive into this, I have so many questions for you. I would love to ask you this question that I ask everyone after I introduce them and a little bit about the conversation today. How would you introduce yourself? Who is Judy in her own words?
Well, that's an interesting question because I could give you all facts and figures, but I will just say that I'm the Judy I am today, right now, because of kind of the curvy zigzag path of synchronicities and experiences and having to work through a lot of things.
Right.
I started out in the physical healing profession as a medical technologist. I went to seminary to do the spiritual healing. Yeah. Then I combined the two, and then I found energy medicine, and all this was happening while I have chronic health conditions. Yeah. And so I've used most of what I teach with myself. And like you said in the introduction, self-love is beneath it all. It is the key to health and vitality.
Mm. It really, really is. It keeps coming back to me as one of the most profound messages. And of course, I have my own understandings. I think we all have our own understandings, right? Of what that is. So that's
Yeah.
why conversations like this help to clarify, I guess, create some clarity. I come from a spiritual kind of understanding when I think about the concept of self love, and then I always at this point I kind of I'm trying. I guess I'm trying. I have to say it that way to integrate the two, the vulnerability of being a human,
Yeah.
embracing my humanness, the body and the mind, and how wow, how fragile they are. And then this part of us that never changes, that it's always here, that we call consciousness, pure consciousness or awareness, according to some spiritual traditions. Some people might call it God or the higher self or the soul. So, talk to me about this your understanding first, your core understanding of what self love is, and then I would love to hear your spiritual understanding of self love too.
Okay, so I really like the definition by Bell Hooks about love, and it's the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. So this means that
Mm,
love isn't an emotion,
yeah,
it's an act of the will that implies choice. So we choose to love ourselves.
yeah,
And yet, also, like you said, there is an inherent goodness in all of us. And
yeah,
so we are loved more than we will ever know.
mm,
It's just that we aren't taught
yes,
to
mm,
love ourselves. We're not taught that the most important relationship that we will ever have is with ourselves.
right,
And so we look to others to satisfy that piece of love. And I also wanted to say that it's really about the key to your well-being
yeah,
and the life you want to live. It's everything. It's what you do, it's what you say, it's what you feel, it's
mm,
what you think about yourself that matters.
right,
And so it's your abilities, your dreams, your gifts, your interests, your skills. All of those things are tied into the uniqueness that is you, which I use the word self wonderful,
yes,
because you are wonderful in
mm,
everything that you are and do. And at the same time, you're always working on that other level, raising your consciousness, becoming more true, learning from your foibles and
yeah.
things that didn't go so well. So it's really, love is about, again, learning to love yourself, and it takes a lifetime and maybe more if you believe that sort of thing.
Wow. Yes. Yes, right. It's almost like beyond belief systems, right? We have
Yes.
enough evidence that something continues, something doesn't, kind of the impressions. It seems like the impression, maybe not the memories, but the impressions of the experiences we have in the body, it kind of stays imprinted somehow and then moves on to another body. That's what I think we have enough evidence for that with out of body experiences, children that remember that actually can vividly remember their past lives, and they were able to verify that in so many ways. I think there is an institute of out of body experiences, or it's in California, isn't it?
It's the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and it's very near me.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. So they do a study
Yeah.
that, and they have that has been documented. So it's
Yeah.
almost like beyond beliefs, right? We don't have to believe. But some
Well,
people, I guess, they.
yeah, and I would also say that children, they inherently love themselves until it's taught out of them or
Mm,
scolded out of them or beaten out of them or
right,
whatever happens that interrupts
right,
that pureness that they carry into the world, hopefully for as long as they can, but usually around 2 or 3 or 4 is when society and family pressure and things influence takes over.
right. Sadly, yeah, and causes a lot
Yes,
of
sadly.
unnecessary suffering, right, Judy?
Yes.
Um, so the question that comes to mind, just exploring more the foundations, the basics of self love, it would be this desire, this very powerful desire to connect with other human beings, and by following this fragrance, I call it, then we ended up um, be, becoming, let's say, that becomes very confusing, that path, because now we don't know where our own well-being is, and or the other person. It's almost like that's a spiritual also concept, as you might know, that at some point there's just self, not love. Love now becomes a concept, and everything that we do is basically we do into ourselves. If we are hurting other people, if we're
Yeah.
loving them too much, it doesn't matter. You just we are, the essence is one, isn't it?
Yes. And I will say that I'm going to talk about it in energy terms,
Yes.
which I have found is a really helpful language for
Mm,
me as part of healing. But
yeah.
also, we need to be 100% full of ourself. And
Mm,
that means our own energy. And
mm,
every person that we talk to, every person we interact with, everything we interact with, TVs, computers, smartphones,
yeah.
whatever, trees, we have an exchange of energy that
Mm,
goes on all the time. And
right.
so, one of the ways to really, know yourself is to let go of other people's energies and give it back to them. And so there's a really simple technique that I've learned. It's called neutral separations. And you can just bring the person that you're talking with, kind of imagine their image in front of you, or the group. You can use a symbol, whatever. And then you just think about 5 things that are neutral, that are different. So you have long black hair or dark hair. I have short curly hair. You live in the Eastern time zone. I live in the Western time zone. And then, whatever else, I'll say you're wearing white. I'm wearing striped. I'm looking at your picture. I'm
Right. Mm,
outside. You're inside. Just facts, nothing kind of. And then take my hands and I press my palms out towards you. And I say, I gift you back your energy.
mm, mm,
And then I turn my palms towards me and I say, I take back all of my energy.
right.
And then I take my palms and press them towards the floor and say, I ground myself in present time. And that actually
Wow.
clears the energy. So, and this is kind of a funny pun, so that
Yeah.
I'm 100% full of myself and you're 100% full of yourself. And
Mm,
only in that state can you really know truly who you are. So that's the state you want to use when you do meditation. That's the state that you want to try and be in all the time. But of course, everything is, you're being bombarded by things. So it's
I know.
another one of those self care practices or self love practices that you really, learn about yourself when you're as 100% full of yourself as possible.
Wow. I love this practice. Yes, it's very familiar to me because I learned with the Native Americans, the
Ah,
indigenous in
yes.
Hawaii. So
Yeah.
they have taught me that, but in a different way, but it's the same thing. It is basically the same thing. Um, so the question is, I have 2 questions. One, like I love when my energy is mixed up actually with nature, like the water and the mountains and the ground. I don't mind that those energies to be kind of almost lost, or I don't mind them to saturate my being. So it feels like I don't need to separate or kind of implement this practice. Is that
Well,
something that you have experienced too with nature? That it
Well,
feels
I'm
quite.
glad you really brought that up, because one of the other essential techniques is grounding yourself.
Mm,
And that's what you're doing in nature. That's what you're
ah,
doing with the mountains, because that they also have earth energy, which is a
mm,
slower energy than our regular life force energy. And so
right,
when we talk about grounding, it's not only a physical practice, it's an energetic practice, it's a psychological practice. There's lots of ways to look at grounding, but you're basically connecting with the energy of the earth and dropping anchors, or whatever, however you want to visualize that, down into the earth, all the way to the center, so that Mother Earth can hold you and you can be in that relationship. And so so you can be 100%, I'll just say it this way, you can be 100% full of earth energy and 100% full of your energy, as well as that sky energy, that we talk about, Father Sky as well.
Yeah.
And you bring that down, and then all of those combine in your heart to have a triad of energies. And that really completes you.
Oh, wow. Yes, because it seems to me like everyone feels the same way when we are in contact with nature.
Yes.
Something happens that feels so much lighter and grounded, right? Grounded, lighter, happier, more pure. Okay, that's one question. Thank you for answering that one. Yes. So in a way, it's not something to implement that practice. We don't really try to separate ourselves from.
We
from
don't want to
nature.
separate ourselves, but we
Yes.
want to be intentional about acknowledging that we are connecting ourselves to earth, because there's a lot of things that happens when we're disconnected from Mother Earth. And I'm not going to list them, but you'll notice it physically, you'll notice it emotionally. It can lead to illness if you're kind of out of your own body or floating around or not grounded. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. For the addition there too. The other question is about relationships with other people. And some people, they live with their parents still. They're very young. So they're still with their parents, or they're married, or they live with roommates and all those things. They have neighbors, friends. But the closer relationships, the ones that we have to, for them to exist, we need to live with them, like the parents, and then we have brothers and sisters, and then we have husbands and even children. So, how is that something that if we do our work of keeping ourselves full of ourselves? I like that. I like that. Yeah, I heard that from Oprah Winfrey. She talks that way. Like my cup is full, all that. But how do we suggest that other people do the same when it feels like they are not really grounded, or they feel energetically kind of disconnected? Is that something that you would recommend, giving them that suggestion, or it's something they have to find out on their own?
Well, you can't change another person.
Yes.
You can't offer suggestions. And what happens when you start becoming full of yourself and giving other people back their energy, they notice a difference. So often when somebody is using your energy and then you take it back, they'll get angry. They'll call you on the phone. They notice in some way. And so another way for you to keep your protection is with an aura boundary. And I'm sure you've heard of aura before, but it's those layers of chakra energy that are on the outside. So there's at least 7 layers. Yeah. And you can put a reflective protective surface around each auric layer, and then that sends the energy back to them. So that's what you can use with children. I mean, you can teach children to be in their bubbles all the time. Yeah. And then other people, again, you can't tell them what to do, but if there's illness or there's a particular organ or area in their body where it's not functioning well, that's usually the sign that something has penetrated the aura. There's a tear, a rip, a hole, something like that. Yeah. So again, they would probably go to an energy healer or that sort of thing. Obviously, regular medicine is not going to suggest that. Right. But sometimes actually in therapy, it comes out. I've known several people with, going to therapy, working on relationships with their partners, and they have breast cancer at the same time. And that's because their heart chakra has been wounded. Or they'll have gynecological problems, because that's another area in our body that we really take in other people's relationships. So there's certain areas in our bodies that are more susceptible to other people's energy.
Right. Oh, wow. I'm glad you mentioned that
And
because so true. It's
yeah, and it also, especially from behind, people with back issues, shoulder issues, neck issues.
oh,
Sometimes people are a little more secretive and they come in from behind. And we also forget to protect ourselves from behind. So that's why the
um,
aura, it's a full bubble all the way around you. And you try to center yourself as much as you can.
right.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really helpful. I remember having a lot of physical issues around certain people. That was many years ago. I mean, I'm very sensitive to energy and
Yeah.
especially all kinds of energies. But I remember being around this particular two people, and then would have a headache, and then I would have a stomach ache every single time. It was consistent. And then to the point where I started kind of avoiding them. Every time they would invite me into their house, or my husband and I would say no because I felt like I was being. I didn't know how to protect myself at that time. I remember, and I was just kind of too vulnerable to their energy. It was like really power, very. It felt very heavy. Like I didn't know what to do with it, and yeah. But I felt
Yeah,
my yeah, yes,
that's a really great awareness, because awareness is the first step.
right.
And so, yes, you were aware that something was happening in the exchange between you and the other person, and maybe even in the space that they were in.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was great that you responded in a way that you protected yourself.
Ah, okay, Judy. Sometimes it can be the space plus the
Yes,
person's energy,
yes,
or
yes.
wow. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you can
Mm,
actually clean the space. Again, the light energy, bringing in the light energy or a white light energy.
yeah.
Sometimes you can shift a space by, let's say you want something really calm, you would use a lavender or purple.
Oh,
If you need
yes.
energy in a space, you can add an orange or a yellow. A
Yeah.
green is a more loving. So colors
Mm,
also have different energies and kind of different effects on the space. And then there's a lot of other things too, but that's too complicated for this short conversation.
yes. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning the lights
Yeah,
too, the colors, because there's
yeah,
even researches right behind that, how the
right.
colors affect our brain, our
Yeah,
bodies.
yeah. And
Yes.
so let me just pause there again. So again, and so your workspace,
Yeah.
a lot of people go to work and don't
Right.
think that they have any control over their space.
Mm,
You have 100% control over your space. You can clean it daily, again, with light energy or doing neutral separations. You
yeah.
can put an aura boundary around your space. You can only allow certain people to come in. I mean, it's really about intention, a little bit of imagination, and a little bit of intuition.
Mm,
But we just don't realize how much control and responsibility we have for keeping ourselves healthy and our spaces healthy.
yeah.
So I have boundaries around, my bed,
Wow.
my room,
Yeah.
my house, my property, my
Mm,
car, my workspace, my
yeah.
computer. I have energetic bubbles around all of those so that I'm really going from clean space to clean space.
Wow, I love that. Is that something that we have to do on a daily basis or moment to moment, even like many?
You can do it once, but then I always refresh it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I will shift it when I can sense that it's getting stale.
Yes.
And then I also have reminders throughout my day to remind myself to kind of refresh it. So every time I finish with a Zoom call or a phone call or a meeting,
Yeah.
I do those neutral separations that I talked about. Every
Oh,
time I walk through a doorway, I remind myself to ground myself and refresh my aura boundaries. So I'm
wow.
constantly doing things based on, and then when I get in my car, there's just a lot of places or structures that I put in place as reminders.
Right. Wow, this is such a great reminder, and that, of course, goes back to the topic of self-love, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, it's always
This is all self-love. This is what self-care looks like in the pampering form. It's really just taking care of your energy and your health.
oh, I love that. Yeah, I love the reminder. I usually I have sage. I use lavender,
Mhm.
and I do prayers, but I
Yes.
don't do it every day or when I. And I remember the indigenous teacher that I have, Golden Eagle, his name. He keeps telling me to do the clearing every day, even when I take a shower, the water. So it
Yep.
said to use the water too, or he
Yeah.
always says body of water. So you go in the ocean or you go somewhere. So he's always asking me to do that, but I tend to forget. I guess the reason why, Judy, perhaps I forget or I don't give like that much attention to it, which I should now, because I feel some energetic pulse just recently. Like last night, I had a dream that was not really a loving one, and then I had a scary one. I'm like, oh, what's
Yeah.
going on with this one here? That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Why are you here? So, and I usually
Well,
it has been many years since I had nightmares or things like that. So that I last night I had one. So that a brief one that kind of
yeah.
caught my attention. Yeah.
Yeah. And so before you go to bed, you want to again put the auric boundaries around. And again, when we go to sleep, uh, there's the astral realm and our astral body that travels,
Yes.
and so you really want to ask your astral body to stay in safe places. Again, this is
Yeah.
kind of an intention, and this is another thing that you could do a deep dive on, so I don't want to get things
Uh,
too woo woo for this. But
right.
as soon as, and I think that's a really good sign, is when you start having disturbing dreams and that sort of thing. It's like
Yeah.
something or somebody is interfering and in your space and in your dream space. So the same thing, you do the neutral separations with them, you bring in the light energy, you boundaries and intention that you have only healthy, nurturing, positive, healing dreams.
Mm,
And again, do that nightly. I often just kind of put that intention underneath I just symbolize it, putting it underneath my pillow
yeah.
and then just letting go of it.
Oh, I love that too. Yeah. Thank you for that suggestion. And I
Otherwise, you're
will.
going to stay awake thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So I'm wondering, because I'm very observant of things. I'm always paying attention to those energies and all that, and thoughts too. Of course, thoughts are very
Yes.
subtle forms of energy. Oh, of course,
Yeah.
there's so many even subtler than that. But thoughts are pretty interesting. So that was last night, right? Yeah. So yesterday during the day, I mentioned this person's name, and it's somebody who has passed away already, and it was had a connection with me, but it had been come to visit like after he passed away. My ex husband, I'll say here. So he kept coming back, and I was kind of pushing him away because of I was not afraid because I know that this is something it's not natural. But I was wondering why. And I kept asking him, like, you already died, so why are you coming back? Don't you know you're dead? So I think he didn't like that I kept saying that way, that he was already dead. And then, we almost like, he used to be my ex-husband. So we almost like having this, like a marital, like argument. You're
Yeah.
dead. I'm not. I'm like, what's going on here? So, and then I did a lot of work around that, his energy, and I asked for help in many ways, and then he disappeared for a while. But
Yeah.
then yesterday, with my current husband, I mentioned his name, and then last night I had the dream, a scary
Yeah.
one with him. So I'm
Well, and
wondering,
you talked about thoughts having subtle energy.
yeah,
They do. And sound and speaking has even stronger energy. It's much
ah,
more intentional. So to name a person is much more than thinking about a person.
right,
I would also say that
mm,
there's probably some an unresolved issue
yeah,
that you need to look at
yeah,
from your side. Obviously, he probably needs to do work too, and he's probably using your energy to
oh,
see. instead, again, separate, give him back his energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then ask, yourself, is there an issue that hasn't been resolved yet?
Right.
And then what's the easiest way to resolve it? And sometimes it's burning the contract.
Yeah.
You may still have a contract with him. And again, that's another whole area
Wow.
that
It is.
that you can explore. But we come into this life with contracts with different people from past lives and this life.
Yeah.
And so when they're broken, when they're not completed, or we're unaware of them,
Yeah.
they can really cause issues in our relationships. And so
Wow.
you can even just end the contract on your own.
Yeah.
And then speak it out loud and then symbolize burning it.
Yes.
That's kind of the best. And then the most important thing is to rewrite a new contract with him. Like, I don't want to, I won't have anything to do with him anymore, or whatever you want to write. But you want, again, write what your intention is for your relationship with your dead husband.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Judy. You're amazing with these insights. I love them. Yeah, because I'm a student of Vedanta, which is it's a Hindu, pretty scientific. Are you familiar with Advaita Vedanta? Non-dualism.
Yes, we have a Vedanta center nearby. Yeah.
Oh, you do. So yes, if you're very familiar with non-dualism, it's basically very clear that there's no two, right? It's the one without
Correct.
a second.
Yes.
So every time I can engage with the mind and too much thinking or even doing, like you said, it's a lot more intentional when we do something, say something, then I'm actually emphasizing or acknowledging that there is such a thing as in two by doing this, or you, me, and I have to do work for you not to be part of my energy field and all. That means I'm acknowledging the separation already just by doing, performing those rituals. And that's one of the things that I'm very careful around. And when I'm around a lot of spiritual teachers and healers, and especially the indigenous here in Hawaii. I live in Hawaii, so I'm always around Native Hawaiians, and I have an appointment actually this Sunday with one of them. He's also a spiritual leader here. So, and that's the thing. I wanted as much as possible to live embodied non-duality, meaning that everything is sacred. Only God exists. So everything is God doing what it does, experiencing, having this dreamlike reality that we call physical, just to experience itself and then try different things. I mean, that's my intellectual understanding, and translated from my heart.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about. We think about so much, and just the thinking is part of the duality, because we separate ourselves from our heart intelligence and our body intelligence. So we actually have three intelligences. And so again, we're in all this duality with all of these. And so the best place to be is kind of when you go into meditation, there's actually a place in your head that it's down from the top of your head, kind of level with your ears, right in the center. We call it the meditation sanctuary. And that's the place of non-duality. And so that's where you try to operate from at all times, which of course you can't.
Yeah.
But again, being aware that, oh, I'm just thinking things, or, oh, I'm just feeling things, or, oh, my body's just reacting. When we go to that place, we collapse the duality. And some people call that place the state of grace.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. That's an interesting thing, right? I never heard it that way, that space specific, because, well, Vedanta, that's what I studied the Upanishads, and I have teachers. So it's really, it's so direct when they keep saying, it's almost like they challenge the logical, the rational mind, the mind that separates everything. Obviously, is a tool, right? It's a tool. We're not supposed to be used by the tool. The consciousness is being used by the mind most of the time. So, or be identified with the mind content. So that's the thing. I keep, for me, has been my meditations is I don't know if you're probably not familiar with them. It's the different kind of meditation where it's basically contemplation of this, even for a split second, that there's no such a thing as two. And then something happens. And for me, I do that all the time throughout the day. And then it's what arises from it within this human experience here in the mind. It's a state of peace and love and enjoy. All these states kind of, those are states of mind and body, but I know it's not the state of consciousnness, because consciousness is just consciousness pure. There's no states really, although a lot of people talk about states of consciousness and we have to raise consciousness and all that. Consciousness is always one, though. According to Vedanta, it doesn't change. It's always the same.
It's us that it changes to get there.
It's
and
the
then I also
identification,
wanted, and then I was going to say something about the mind. Oh, the job of the mind is to think thoughts.
Okay.
And so when we go into meditation, we think we're not doing it right because all these thoughts are coming.
Yes, more thinking.
And really, but it's like that's what the mind's job is. So instead of getting frustrated, that's why they teach you just let those thoughts pass by, because your mind is going to think. That's what it does.
Yes,
So
yes.
So maybe that will help people who meditate not be so frustrated. It's like, no, that's just the way it is. Just bring yourself back. Just bring yourself back to that pure space. Just keep, saying, thinking or whatever, and then just come back.
Right. Yes. That's not the meditation I do, but yes, that's usually the common, right, meditation methods that I have done it before, of course, myself, and I have learned. But then with Vedanta, it's quite unique, though, in the sense that we're already there. We're already what we're looking for. So the mind loses its job immediately. Like there's nothing for you to do. And then that's when something happens. Something very interesting happens. And that has been my experience, my lived experience. When I'm not ignoring the mind, but it's something in me knows that is not as real as that place that doesn't change. So nothing is as real as that. Nothing.
Yeah.
So it's very grounding, the interesting thing about it, because although it can become an intellectual concept for a lot of people, and most people, they do intellectualize non-duality. It's just like an idea, right? There's no two. How come? But then I see a body, I see you, I see all these plants, that doesn't make any sense. But that's because we're still operating from the mind, identified with the mind. But that's a whole different conversation, isn't it, Judy? Boy, I love having this conversation. Maybe we'll have that one day, one of these days, another time. Let's go back to your work. So, gosh, I could talk to you forever. Talk to me about the Simply Self Wonderful card deck. Oh, they're so beautiful. I do have the pictures here. I'll add this to the podcast page so people can see what it looks like. But then I have your website too, just in case. But talk to me about that, the deck.
Yeah. So again, it was I was doing some energy work, and the woman that was working with me said, "Oh, you need some self-wonderfuls." And I'm like, "What are those?" And these are just, again, energy concept. Oh, no, things like, self-compassion and self-love and self-this and self-that. And so, that was fine. And then as most of my ideas happen, I wake up one morning and I'm like, oh, that should be a card deck. And and then it was like, okay, how do I picture these things? And I decided on a mandala. And then I said, well, besides self wonderfuls, which are really, it's just the gift of being uniquely you. It's just you in your, knowing self, your being self, the self that you share with the world. You're really just the true you in all the beautiful, wonderful ways imaginable.
Right.
And then I'm like, but we're not always that way.
Yeah.
And so I have 33 self wonderfuls and 32 self woundings. And self woundings are really just recognizing the pain that you carry around, but it also, those experiences are the teaching moments, and they're the things that provoke you to healing, the possibility to free and transform yourself into love. And so ideally, the self woundings become more gifts of your simply self wonderful self. So that's kind of what I started with. And so I made a card deck. And then it's like, oh, I have much more to offer. And so I created a workout book that has the mandala that you can color. It's got a little blurb about each one. It has affirmations, it has quotes, and then it has little activities to do in 5 areas I call MEPs. So there's a mental activity, an emotional one, a physical one, a social one, and a spiritual one. And so really there's like over 500 practices that you can do just in this little book. And then after I published that, I was able to put the card deck on an app called Deckable so that you can have the card deck now on your phone. And that has it has the mandala and a little blurb. And then it has a little activity to do as a video. So it's been really helpful for people that see all the parts of themselves and like some of them, don't like some of them, need to work on some, whatever. It's a very affirming, very uplifting, encouraging way to get to know yourself.
Yes. I want to mention the website. So interludecoach.com. It will be on the podcast notes as well. And it's beautiful though. I love the colors. It's so much fun even to look at them. Looking at them.
I'm a person that loves color.
I see that.
So it's like, and that's funny because it's like I offer the card deck and the book as a bundle.
Yeah.
And some people will say, well, can I just get the book? I said, yeah, but it's only in black and white. The card deck has all the colors. And again, they're kind of coded. So the wonderfuls are the pinks and the oranges and the yellows. Yeah. And then the woundings are kind of, somebody said, oh, that's like the bruise colors. When you get a bruise, the kind of the greens and the purples and the blues.
Yeah.
So, so it's got a nice spectrum of colors on it.
I know. I love how creative you are. And I remember, I think I read something from you. You say you are created to be creative. Something
yes.
like that.
And it's funny because the rest of my family are artists and they can draw and paint and do all that. And I never could.
Yes.
And so I did, so we think of creativity as art. Yeah. And I actually ban the A word when I do workshops on creativity because we are all created to be creative. We all have something unique to offer the world. True. It can be as simple as setting a lovely dining room table. Yeah. It can be an engineering thing. It can be the way that we console a child. Right. But we are creative in more ways than we can ever imagine. And that's what unites all of us. Right. We're all united in our creativity and we need each other's creativity. And we live in a divine created world. And so it connects us with the world and the divinity or the energy of creation or however you want to think about those things.
Yes. Beautifully said. I usually say, which I think I'm quoting somebody that I have heard here or somewhere, fully human, fully divine. Right.
Yes.
And we need to honor both. Yeah, in a sense. Yeah. So I remember although I am a student of Vedanta, and that's non-dualism is for some reason my way of seeing life. That's my perspective or perception. But there is also, or perhaps yet, not but, because I don't want to dismiss that. Yet, there's the emotional part, the physical that is very much here present. And I remember trying to use spiritual, non-dualism medicine to pacify or to cure or to resolve emotional wounds or physical wounds, and it didn't work. So I had to it's interesting how I had to learn that.
Well, yes,
it was humbling.
Actually, physical healing is the last piece of healing to happen. You have to heal the spirit. Actually 99% of all illness is spiritually based, and it's
Yeah.
based on the broken love bond. And so
Ah,
when we don't love ourselves, we set
yeah.
ourselves up for illness.
Ah,
So you need to heal the spiritual piece, and then of course the emotional piece, the mental piece, the social piece. And
mm,
then it makes the physical healing so much easier because you've worked through all the layers. Again, it's not really non-dual, but it's all connected. It's all interconnected.
oh, yeah.
You work through all those other layers that really are that have initiated the physical symptoms. That's why it takes a while for physical illness to show up in most things.
Ah, yeah. It is just, it's very clear to me, yeah, by doing some. And I'm very curious. So I do a lot of different kinds of healing modalities. I just
Yes.
kind of experience those things just to make sure that I want to know for myself. I'm very much like a mystic in that sense. Like, how,
Yeah.
when it comes to that part
Yeah.
of self, of physical, the physical and the mental, I want to try it. And then if it works, it will work on me. Or at least I'll feel something. I'll get
Yeah.
some. Anyway, so I'm always trying different things. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask the question before we end the conversation for today. I would love to, I could stay here forever, basically. The Simply Self Wonderful card deck, is it on Amazon? On Amazon for sale on
Yes,
Amazon?
you can get the card deck and the book separately. You can get it as a bundle, and then you can also
Oh,
get the book as an ebook. So
oh,
it's
great.
it's all those varieties on Amazon.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
So it's on your website and on Amazon. Great to know.
correct.
I'll have the links here too. So I'll have them
Yeah,
clickable so it's easier that way.
yeah.
Um, Thank you so much for your beautiful presence for this conversation today, Judy. I'm always in reverence to these. It's almost like consciousness recognizing itself and kind of having fun to talk about its own kind of journey or
Yeah.
manifestation. It's really, I mean, that's what I'm interested in, mostly interested in
Yeah.
this life. So before we end the conversation, I do have a question for you. But before that, I was curious about, you mentioned earlier about the physical symptoms that starts with the spiritual, emotional, energetic, and then it's just the body will kind of
Mhm.
manifest that. I
Yeah.
notice in my family now, family members, they're having issues with the stomach, the intestines and digestive issues and all
Yeah.
that area. Is that, do you have,
That's
yeah.
where emotional issues show up first. Is
Yeah.
in your gut. Yeah.
Mm. So that's what they are having. It has
Mhm.
become chronic from what I see. Now it's
Yep.
not going away. And they're asking me for help. I don't
Well,
know
and a lot of
exactly.
it too is, eating healthy
Mm. Oh, yeah. That's,
and maintaining the balance. But again, it's really it's the emotions that we take in and don't,
uh,
process.
yes. It could be the fear of deeper
Yes,
emotions,
fear
strong
is
emotions.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fear is huge. Anxiety is huge.
Uh,
Even grief. Grief usually shows up in the heart, but it can,
uh,
go into the digestion as well.
I know. And that's
Yeah.
something about this, this dualistic reality that I'm always called to be present. It's with compassion and empathy.
Exactly.
I'm always very kind. And I mean, sometimes too much, I think. I take some of the energies too, the
Well,
responsibility too. I wanted to heal them. I wanted to do whatever it takes.
yeah.
And that might be not a good idea, but maybe that's why I do what I do too. The
Well, let me just
yeah.
say that empathy is different than compassion. In
Mm,
empathy, you're putting yourself in that person's shoes and feeling everything. And you
right,
don't want to do that.
right.
You want to be
Yeah.
compassionate and again, stay in your own energy and then
Mm,
allow the other person and then, have that connection with them, but outside of your own energy. So
right.
that's the big difference. And Pima Chodron talks about idiot compassion.
Oh,
And that's
yes, I really
this
like
is
her.
like taking it all on, and that will make you sick in a second.
Ah, it is so true, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's something else that I need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for me, I always go back to feeling the feelings, not pushing away anything. So I
Yeah.
tend to
No.
kind of let it come, and then as a visitor, and then because I have the ability in the trust, perhaps to let them go, to kind of ask them to leave. It
Yeah.
seems like that's how something in me operates. It doesn't push anything away because it knows how to transmute energy. So it might, I don't know, that might be from different lifetimes. Who knows, right, Judy? There's some
Correct.
people, they
It
have
can
this
be.
ability, yeah, to do
Yeah.
them.
It can be a remnant from another lifetime.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
never know. It has been wonderful using your beautiful word. What's not to love about that word? Wonderful. The combination of, to me, wonder, the awe, and then beautiful, like both,
Yes.
those two words
Yes.
together. So, how would you like to end the conversation? Is there anything that you left unsaid in the ending message that you would like to deliver?
I would just say treat yourself with loving kindness
Mm, yeah.
and really accept and know and take in that you are unique in all the many ways that you are, and really learn to celebrate yourself. And
Mm,
then as you feel more 100% full of yourself,
yeah.
it easily overflows into being able to love others. And I think that's where our world needs to go, is really just sharing, owning and sensing our own love, and then also honoring and experiencing other people's love.
Yes, a billion times the experience of love. Yes, this
Exactly.
is one of the most beautiful ones. Thank you so much again for your, I would say, sacred presence. That word comes to mind, and the
Thank you.
energy of sacredness. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
want to mention the website again, interludecoach.com. And we'll be in touch again, Judy. Stay here. I'll say goodbye again off record. But for the
Okay.
record, thank you so much again for your beautiful presence. We'll talk
You're
soon.
welcome.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Judy Slater and her work, please visit interludecoach.com.